Hey guys, welcome back to Chosen. And today I'm joined by Kyreece. Welcome, Kyreece.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you for coming.
So I pretty much grew up in the church, but it was never a thing where I took it seriously enough to really know who God was. Once I filled myself with God, and that hunger and thirst for the world no longer lives inside of me anymore. So
what has been the most difficult part of your football journey so far?
every time I felt like my career was about to move forward, there was always a little setback. I tried to get into different academies growing up, and the answer was always no, I'm not good enough. And I went on trial at Colchester at a very young age. I was told I wasn't good enough. And then I come back later and I signed and I'm flying now in the seasons. When I thought I was ready, God was saying, no, it's not time yet. But once you understand the weight of your own sin, it's impossible to not be able to forgive others. I think for me, it's the talent that God has given me. What am I going to be able to do with it? And it's not even just about football, it's about anyone, whatever the person, whatever their gift is, whatever their talent is, what you're going to be able to show God for it when you're accounting for it, when you see him face to face. I have to make sure that when I do obviously score, assist, wherever it is, I have to recognize that it comes from above. When people do see that and think that it's your power, it's your doing, then you have to correct them and show that no, it's God that gives me the ability to be able to perform the way that I do on the pitch. So
Talk to us today about his journey to Christ and just about his walk, really. Would you like to introduce yourself, Kyreece? What is it that you do?
So I'm a professional footballer for Colchester. That's pretty much
amazing.
it.
No, thank you, and thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear about your journey through football. Kind of your quite interesting journey. Starting with your faith, really. Have you always been a believer? Did you grow up in church, or where did your faith journey start? I should say.
Yeah, so I've always been a believer. My mum introduced the family at a very young age, so I pretty much grew up in the church, but it was never a thing where I took it seriously enough to really know who God was. But yeah, my whole family's been in church since growing up, and yeah, my mum is also an assistant at church, so it's definitely been introduced from a very young age.
And in terms of your football journey, have you always played football, or has it been more so in the last few years that have you always been playing football?
Yeah, so my dad was a professional footballer growing up. So we always used to watch him play, go to stadiums. So there's four of us and a sister as well. So all of our aspirations and dreams was to become a professional footballer like my dad. So yeah, football's been in our blood, and we all grew up trying to be like my dad, basically. Yeah.
Have you recently moved to Colchester, or started playing for Colchester,
Yeah.
I should say? So prior to that, has your faith played a part in kind of, your football career? Do you feel like faith has been instrumental in your career, really? How has it played a part?
Yeah, so I moved to Colchester in January. Before that, I was at Brentford for 3 years, and before that, I faced a lot of setbacks in my career, and my faith definitely played a massive part in keeping me resilient, to keep going, to obviously make it to be a professional footballer, which I am today. My faith definitely played a massive part in that.
When you, go through difficulty in football, is there certain scriptures you kind of lean on, or what kind of keeps you going, really? Is it your worship, reading the word? What is it that you feel like you can kind of always go to in regards to your faith?
Yeah, just knowing that God's plan will always prevail in my life as long as I remain obedient to him. And the Bible verse, all things work together for good for those who love God. That's a Bible verse that definitely sticks close to my heart, especially with my career. The challenges that I've faced and the setbacks that I've faced, I've seen that passage come true in my life. So that's definitely a Bible verse that resonates deeply with my career, and it's something that I hold close to me.
Amazing. That's so true. It's so true that everything does work together for
Definitely.
His good. Yeah, and I think at times in seasons it doesn't seem like it, but I think just having that verse, hold on strong onto it, you know that it's going to work together and the Lord will orchestrate it. And it always comes back to his glory.
Definitely.
So that leads you on to the question of, how do you feel like you can glorify the Lord through your football? How do you feel like you can bring him glory and win souls or make an impact? How do you feel like you can do that?
Yeah, I think with football there's a lot of recognition and a lot of people that watch the sport. So when you do get that recognition, I think it's important to point it to God. As a professional footballer, a Christian as well, I know that all things work together for good. So, and obviously every good gift to come from above, isn't it? So I have to make sure that when I do obviously score, assist, wherever it is, even the small things and the big things, no matter what accomplishment it is, I have to recognize that it comes from above. And when people do see that and think that it's your power, it's your doing, then you have to correct them and show that, no, it's God that gives me the ability to be able to perform the way that I do on the pitch. So that's important. So yeah, even when I score, I like to go on my knees and point to the sky just to give recognition and glory to God, so people can see that it's God who's enabling me to perform the way that I am.
No, definitely. I think even like simple gestures like that, like some people might think even your celebration, that alone can bring the Lord glory. It might just seem like a small gesture.
Definitely.
But again, it's reaffirming your faith. And I love the point that you made, that it doesn't come from your own strength, that it's the Lord that gives you that strength and the ability to utilize these gifts, isn't it? He's the one that's gifted you in that way. And I think football is such a platform in itself that the Lord can be glorified for that reason. There's a lot of eyes on football when you have matches, there's a lot of eyes on it, and people that maybe aren't big believers might watch the game, might just be a supporter of Colchester, for example. And you making those simple gestures can again reaffirm your faith and shows that where your strength comes from. What has been, I guess, the most difficult part of your football journey so far?
I'd say there's a few, growing up, I tried to get into different academies growing up, and the answer was always no, I'm not good enough. Even, for example, when I went on trial at Colchester at a very young age, I was told I wasn't good enough. And then I come back later and I signed and I'm flying now in the season. So it's just even that, and another one, obviously getting injured, and I had to do surgery on my knee. So it's like every time I felt like my career was about to move forward, there was always a little setback. I'm looking back at it now, it's definitely God's protection, because when I thought I was ready, God was saying, no, it's not time yet. And there's been a few different setbacks, but now I've been able to see the blessing of being patient and waiting and watering my grass. So when my time does come, I'm able to shine and give God all the glory.
I think it's just like holding steadfast in those seasons, and just keeping that faith, really keeping that fire burning.
Definitely.
And I think our faith really is tested, like you said, when you go through the challenges, even things like injuries. I'm sure that can be a really test of your faith, really, and even test of character, like you said. God know prior. And I think now you've been able to play for Colchester, I'm sure you can see how the Lord's hand has like orchestrated that. It might have been a no then, but it's a yes now. So and now you can appreciate more what the Lord's done, because He's given you the opportunity.
Exactly.
Obviously, you're quite young yourself. So what advice would you give other young people? Because I know when you're quite young, you don't really some people are not really fussed about offering with their faith. They're like, when I get older, I'll be more intentional. But what advice would you give a young person that's kind of at that place that might be a bit lukewarm, that's trying to be more intentional about their faith? What advice would you give to be more intentional?
I think once you understand that, once you walk with God, victory is certain. That mindset of no matter where you are right now, I'm going to get to where I need to be. And obviously, when like you said, because I'm young and I want to get this, and especially with social media, and you see everyone around you moving forward, and it feels like you're stuck, you get frustrated. But once you have that assurance that God's with me, so it doesn't matter what situation I'm going through, I'm going to win and I'm going to be victorious. That mindset will lead you to so much peace. Even just anything that's out of your control, you shouldn't be worrying about, because you know God's going to take care of it. So having a strong mindset of, doesn't matter what I'm going through, I know God's got me, that will bring you so much peace.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that is such a valid point you made in regards to victory. Once you walk with the Lord, that's it. It's so encouraging to know that victory is yours, is your portion. Victory belongs to you. And I think a lot of times you can get so caught up, like you said, with social media, with all the other trappings of life and the things that are going on, that we forget that our faith, that is the whole point, really. It always comes back to Christ, and we're not going to have contentment, peace, victory without Him at the centre of it.
Exactly.
Do you feel like, obviously you do football, do you have anyone ever come to you for advice on your faith, or approach you, obviously because you do talk about your faith, particularly like you said with celebration, and I'm sure in interviews and things like that. So have you had anyone approach you about your faith, or ask you for advice about it?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about it, when people show that curiosity, that want to know more. Even when I score and I do a cross celebration, fans will ask me what does the celebration mean? And that's just an opportunity for me to speak about Jesus. And a lot of people, especially when you don't do everything the way everyone's doing in the world, there's just that natural curiosity to why you behave the way you behave. So there's lots of opportunities for me to talk about my faith in football, and I feel like I think the celebration is a very big thing for me as well.
that was really good. I think it's really interesting that you said that people have even asked you and had that curiosity, and that means your light is shining because they're able to ask you, and I think that's where it starts. Sometimes even you just doing that celebration, them asking that question and you responding is now planting a seed in their heart. So just those simple gestures can have a grand impact. Do you find it quite any challenges as a young person in faith? Because like you mentioned, like even I guess letting go of the world, do you find difficulty in that? Because I said obviously in the field of football there's a lot of like worldliness that surrounds the football culture, so do you find it hard to kind of break away from that, or like not easily fall into the trappings of the world?
I think when you first transition and you're first transitioning from getting closer to God, that initial period is hard. But for me, as I've grown closer to God, it's not really been of interest for me to live that lifestyle the way everyone lives. I think once like I filled myself with God, and that hunger and thirst for the world no longer lives inside of me anymore. So initially it was difficult, and I think just the curiosity, because growing up in the church, I've always had the morals. Obviously, I heard in church like no swearing, no sleeping around. So those are all morals that I've kept with me since young. But obviously, growing up in the church, there's that natural curiosity for the things of the world, and I think that's definitely been hard, because I think it's easy to say don't do this, don't do that, but as human beings, we're naturally inclined to have what we're not supposed to have. That curiosity has definitely been challenging for me. But I think just filling myself with God and understanding that that's just temporary and that's not going to fill me. And I think especially in football, you can see kind of secondhand how it affects people, because they live the lifestyle for you kind of thing. So you don't need to go and try it for yourself. So I think, obviously just leaning on other people and seeing, okay, that they're living that lifestyle and it doesn't really bring them happiness. I can see, because when I'm having conversations with them, they don't seem like happy, they don't seem content. So why am I going to go and chase after the lifestyle that doesn't bring peace? So that's for me.
No, it's so true. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's hitting the nail on the head, really, that it doesn't bring peace, that chasing after all these things. And for some people, I guess even in their football career, it can bring some level of destruction when you chase after the things of the world, whether it's the clubbing, the sleeping around, all these things, that alcoholism, all these things that can actually bring great destruction, gambling, there's too many to name, that these worldly trappings, they actually do cause destruction more than anything. And greatest of all, it doesn't cause peace. But thank you for sharing that. And I know there's also, I'm not sure if you're a part of, but Ballers and God, do you have any affiliation like with that? Have you?
I've joined a couple Zoom calls, and obviously I'm also in contact with John. We speak on Instagram a few times, and when I score goals and do the celebration, he posts me. So it's really nice what they're doing, bringing the community together to glorify God. It's really nice what they're doing.
No, that's really good. I think that's wonderful, because we need more young men, like examples of Christian young men that believe Ballers and God. Obviously, it does do that. Do you have like a few Christian friends yourself? Yeah,
I've got a good community at church, people that I'm able to lean on. And like you said just now, the importance of being able to, other people holding you accountable in your faith, that's very important, because you're not going to be strong every day in your walk with Christ, and it's in the moments when you lead on other people who can make you stronger, because it's so important. Like even my pastor, that I'm in regular communication, just seeking for more wisdom and understanding and growth as a spiritual father. And even my friends that in the same walk with me, just being able to speak and talk, it can just feel like a burden lifted off your shoulder when you're speaking to them, and they can give you advice. And definitely it's important to have good company.
Absolutely. I think community is just so vital of our walk, and we can't do it alone. Literally, I was like meditating on Genesis 1 and 2 last week, and I had a few reminders after even reading it, because obviously it says in Genesis 1 and 2 how it's not good for man to be alone, and how the Lord talks about in Genesis 1 like all the creation, and then in Genesis 2 goes on to say that it's not good for man to be alone. And I think that doesn't apply to like marriages or those kind of relationships. It also applies to friendships and us as believers, that we have to have community. And if we're an isolated believer, it's easily targeted, because that's how the enemy will come in when we're alone. And that's how the enemy came in with Eve. She was alone, she wasn't with Adam at the time. So it's so important to have community, people around us that are like-minded. And like I said, they can hold us accountable, they can sharpen us, and as the word says, iron sharpens iron. So when you're around people that are in Christ, you can encourage each other. Like if you're falling short, they can help you, and vice versa, you can help them when they're stumbling. I think that's so important. What advice would you give someone that might be on their football journey, that's facing difficulty at this time, whether it be injury, setback, Like, yeah, what would be your advice to them?
I think one of the most important lessons I learned, and it's biblical as well, is just to put God first. The Bible even says, seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and everything else will be added. And I think a lot of times as Christian athletes, we're trying to do everything else apart from just stop and realizing, wait, if I just put all my energy into seeking after God, then he will make my path straight. So I think, yeah, definitely just seeking God first before you do anything. Separating your energy, like, because when you split your energy between, okay, I need to train to do this, I need to do that, and God's put aside, it's like God saying to us, if only you come to me and seek me, I'll be able to do all of these things for you. So putting God first and seeking him first is definitely a big advice that I'd give to them.
That is it, really, just seeking him first and just putting him at the centre. A lot of times I think we can put God in like the back seat.
Exactly.
He's just there, like,
yeah, waiting.
It's a safety blanket, isn't it? It's like you just come to him when we need something or when times are difficult. We don't actually consult him day in, day out and put him at the forefront. So I think that is so vital. Do you have a favourite Bible verse, like, in general? What's your favourite Bible and why?
I would say John 15:13. It says, there's no greater love than this, to lay one's life down for a friend. And for me, it's that's basically the gospel summed up. Jesus taking our place and sacrificing himself that we may live and live life abundantly. So that verse is just like, wow, like it should have been me. Like Jesus took my place, but instead he took the suffering upon himself. So now I can't live my life anyhow. I've got to understand that God's love like chased me down. Like it says in the Bible, he left the 99 to come after the one. So even just that verse there, it just shows, wow, like his love is uncomparable. Like, you can't understand it. And that's for me is so important when I reflect on it, and I'm so grateful.
Beautiful, and thank you. I think that verse is just, it's so beautiful because it just reminds us the greatest level of love, really, that we can't even comprehend. And interesting because I was having a conversation recently around forgiveness, and I think that verse even captures that, because I think I was even saying to my mum recently how when I think of forgiveness, it's like, how could I not forgive someone when the Lord's literally forgiven me? Like he forgave me when I had even rejected him, because we're born into sin, so naturally we're born rejecting Christ because we're born in the flesh. So I've rejected him. He's already forgiven me, and not only forgiven me but died for me before I've even accepted him. So imagine dying for someone that you know is going to reject you, and there's still people in this world that will reject him, because not all will come to Christ, unfortunately. But it's like he's died knowing that there's going to be people that are going to reject him as well.
Exactly.
So there is no greater love than that, to lay down your life. And it just shows the magnitude of God's love that we can't even comprehend. Thank you for coming, Kyreece. I don't know if you had anything more you wanted to share, any final thoughts?
Literally just expand on what you were saying. Sometimes forgiveness is not easy because some people can actually hurt you, but once you understand the weight of your own sin, it's impossible to not be able to forgive others. Literally what you were saying there.
So true. No, thank you. That is it. It's the weight of our sin. Like when you realise how simple we are. Exactly. It's like, how could I not forgive someone when the Lord's forgiven me for all the things that I do?
Exactly.
We do daily, isn't it? So no, thank you. And it just reminds me of a post that I saw once, and this lady was saying how before she came to Christ, she'd think that, I'm a good person, so that makes me holy. But it's like, it's not just being a good person, because if we looked at a sheep and it started to snow, the sheep would no longer be white. It would, and that's how we are, isn't it? When we measure ourselves up to the Lord's standards, and we can be a good person, we can do all these things, but it shows how dirty we are in sin. We sin daily, even if it's small things like little white lies, that we all have some level of sin. That's why we have to repent, isn't it? Daily. What does it mean to you to be chosen by Christ?
I think it's to find your purpose. I think a lot of times in life, like even myself, when I first started my walk with God, just understanding what my purpose is, because I knew from a young age I was talented with football, but I didn't know what the gift was for. Like anyone can play football, anyone can run around and kick a ball, but it's like, what am I going to do with that that's going to be able to glorify God? And as I've been able to walk through my journey with football and with God, I've been able to see how many people I can bring to God, and people that inquire and ask questions. So I think when we speak about chosen, it's that moment when we meet God face to face and he asks us, even with the parable of the coins, when Jesus gave everyone coins and some people multiplied it, some people just left it there. I think for me, it's the talent that God has given me. What am I going to be able to do with it? And it's not even just about football, it's about anyone, whatever the person, whatever their gift is, whatever their talent is, what you're going to be able to show God for it when you're accounted for, when you see him face to face. So I think, chosen is a talent that you have, what you're going to do with it, basically.
Definitely. I think that's It's just like multiplying,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? Really, not just. I think it's knowing that in our walk, everything that we have is not for us, isn't it? We literally borrow
Exactly.
everything by the Lord, and like I said, as much as our gifts and talents as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I mean, have that assurance. We can walk confidently, knowing that we're not walking in our own strength. We've been given all these gifts by the Lord. So it turns the good Lord gives and the good Lord takes, isn't it? And
Exactly.
I think that's what Job even said, isn't it? And the Lord took everything from
Mm-hmm.
him. It's like, well, the Lord's given you these same gifts, so multiply them, isn't it? Not
Yeah.
multiply talents, like it says in the parable. So yeah, no, thank you. And thank you for joining us. It's wonderful having you on. It's really
pleasure to be here.
encouraging to hear your story, and may the Lord continue to use you in your football as well and every aspect of your life, and may you continue to encourage and touch souls as well. So
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and it's been lovely having Kyreece on. And yeah, please remember to like, comment and subscribe and share the video if you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you in our next one.